A lot of people wonder why I said I never work a 9 to 5 job again. I mean, to start off, job security, right? Like in France, they have it where you have to sign contracts with your employer to where the employer can't even fire you without an actual reasonable cause within a certain time frame. They have to keep you employed for the terms of the contract, right? So they can't just fire you one day just because they feel like it. Just put you on the street and basically make you homeless. um, Over in the U.S., that's a huge issue. Um, like employers just really just don't care, man. And then a lot of people will tell you too, like it's pretty difficult finding a job. You have all these fake job applications everywhere. It's places saying they're hiring when they're really not hiring. It's crazy. Like I even had an issue. There was a time a couple of years ago, I think it was back in 2021, I had applied for like I think 3 different McDonald's locations like completely far away from each other. And I don't think I got a call back for any of them. I was like, it's hard to get hired at McDonald's? McDonald's. I didn't even want to work there to be honest, but really? McDonald's? It's crazy. It was literally easier for me to get a corporate job than it was to get hired at McDonald's. That's how ridiculous it is. One of the tallest buildings in Dallas. Um, it was the top floor. You could oversee the entire Dallas for many, many miles. The whole city. There was a corporate job there. They were hiring. I mean, they were willing to hire me on the spot there. I was like, what the heck? Like, wow. It's ridiculous. And I know a lot of people would be like, oh, well, you could have got hired at that corporate job. I'm like, yeah, I mean, that's me specifically. But in the grand scheme of things, right, when you think of like most people, I mean, the amount of corporate jobs, right, that are like that, they're slim. Like, there's not that many that are, especially those that are hired that easily. Which, to be honest, I think a lot of it had to do with me personally and just how I presented myself. Um, but most jobs don't even pay nearly as much as that job, right? Most jobs that are available. I think everybody's seeing this now with inflation and stuff, inflationary prices, which I've been saying since like 2019. Um, I've been saying, hey, your job isn't going to pay, nobody listened. Okay, inflation. I mean, it happens. Yeah, and if that wasn't difficult enough dealing with little pay, I mean, the amount of disrespect that's in like most jobs is ridiculous. Yeah, most jobs. I'm not gonna say all jobs, but yeah, most jobs. Like the disrespect is ridiculous. Like I remember many jobs that I worked at, the managers they would talk down on the employees all the time, all the time. I've seen many, and then they would complain when the employees would quit. They're like, "Oh, they keep quitting." I'm like, "Yeah, you can't just talk to them anyway." Like 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 one lady I worked with, her husband had gotten into a wreck, so she couldn't show up, and so the employer was mad at her because she couldn't show up because she had to go to the hospital to make sure her husband was alive. Like it's like stuff like that. It's like nobody wants to work for you. Like what the heck? And then something I find that was also really weird, if in leave leave in the comments, right? If you can relate to this, um, all the employers that I worked for all had some type of envy or jealousy towards me, and it was very subtle. Sometimes it was pretty odd, like just straightforward. Sometimes it was more subtle, but like if they caught me like reading a book or something, or reading something, or studying or something, they're like, "What's all?" They're like, "What's all this? What is this?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm just studying something." They're like, "Well, don't be doing that. Do that on your own time." I'm like, "I literally have nothing to do right now." They're like, "Well, do that on your own time." I don't know. It's just very strange that it's almost like they don't want you to read. And I've heard people say this. People that have been in the military that have told me this. They said in the military they don't like you reading books and learning, you know, who you are. You know what I mean? And study. Like I would study things like how taxes works and the tax laws and stuff works. A lot of how this country operates in the monetary system and banking system and credit and consumer protection laws and stuff like that. And they really didn't like that I would study stuff like that. It was the strangest thing. I'm like, yo, I literally like when you work a desk job, it's like I literally have nothing to do for like almost 8 hours straight. Most of the 8 hours have nothing to do. And they literally didn't like the fact that I would be reading and studying who I was. And then they would get mad if I dozed off. I'm like, I wouldn't doze off if I was reading and studying. I'm dozing off because I'm not a brain dead zombie. You know what I mean? Like my mind needs to be active, and learning is a perfect avenue for that. I don't know. It's kind of strange. But if I said I was going to college, they have no issue with that, right? If I said, I was studying for college classes or something, they'd be like, oh, okay, that's fine. You know what I'm saying? You're studying to take this test, but somehow that's makes more sense and that's more valuable than studying for the sake of seeking knowledge of self and how the world works. It doesn't really make sense. But yeah, and it wasn't just one employer either. Like, pretty much all of them had that about them, where they're like, hey, yeah, study that business stuff at home. I remember I worked as a waiter, and I would wait. I would see people with like Amex cards and stuff, and I would try to do business with them. But hey, you seem like you make a lot of money. Like, what do you do for a living? They really didn't like that. They're like, even if I had the time to do it, they're like, why are you talking to our customers about like business and stuff? No, you can't do that. I'm like, I'm not trying to sell them anything. Like, what's the issue? But that's just something that I just learned over time, right? From hopping from one job to another, I would constantly seek new jobs and hop from different jobs, which is why I tell people job hopping isn't necessarily a bad thing, because you start to learn, the mentality of employers in general, and 99.9% of them don't care about you. You know, I have my own business that is going on. I have people that I'm hiring on and stuff, and my mentality is, are you good? Is your family good? Make sure you got a roof over your head. Make sure you're not homeless. Even if you're not a fit for me, I'll point you in the right direction to where you can get some money, or take care of yourself and stuff. But like most of these employers don't think like that. They don't care. They don't care, and it just blows my mind. Like, and they really don't like when you ask questions and when you think too much. You want to know too much about the business. They don't like that. And this is something that people don't really talk about, right? Which is your employer 99.9% of the time is also poor, right? Because being poor is a mentality, right? It's a scarcity mentality, right? Um, if an employee of mine wants to know how to do some business like mine, I'll put them on game and then just say, hey, I want a vested interest. I want a percentage of equity of your business, and make sure that their business succeeds, right? I remember I worked at a motel, and I asked the manager, hey, how did you afford this loan? Because like his family's like not from this country. I said, how'd you get a loan for this motel? And he's like, oh, the bank has got a loan from the bank, right? And I said, oh, well, how would I get a loan for a bank if I want to get a motel? And he was like, oh, they're not going to give you a bank, which I found kind of offensive. I'm like, what do you mean by that? Like, I don't know what you mean by that. Why would you not want to put me on game, right? You could have a percentage of equity in the proceeds. And this is something I tell people. I say employers, they're sneaky. There's even the cool ones that are nice. They're sneaky. Like I had an employer try to contact me to hire me back on. They said, "Oh yeah, we need you, right?" But she said, "Oh, but when you come back, we're gonna pay you less than what we paid you before." I'm like, it's been like years since the last time I've worked there, and inflation has went through the roof, and you want me to work for less now? No. Me being business savvy, no, no. I remember a girl quit at the job I worked at when she realized that she was getting paid less than everybody else there, but working the exact same amount. She was so mad, and I told her, I said, you can't trust these employers. When you go in, you got to negotiate and say, no, reach for the stars. Say, look, I want to work for X amount. If they don't give you that, negotiate down. That's how it works. That's how the game works. Yeah, but he was just saying, like, like, yeah, they won't give you a loan. I'm like, you don't know anything about me. Like, you don't know credit score, and as far as income and all that goes, like, technically he doesn't know any of that either. So it's just kind of a weird thing. I don't know. It just blows my mind. But yeah, I notice it a lot with like almost most employers. Like they really try to dim your light. Like they don't like you having too much free time to think. And the reality is, they don't want you to have too much time to think and study business and stuff, because they don't want you to learn about how they're screwing you over. Wage theft is literally the number one theft in the country. Wage theft. Most people don't even know that. Like, your employers are literally stealing from you. You don't even know it. But see, she didn't know that because she had lack of real world experience. Being in the real world, one of the first things that you learn is not, when it comes to money at least, not to just take the first offer that's given. No, you're supposed to always go for more. And it's not even a greed thing, it's just knowing your value. Because in the real world, the majority of people, the majority of businesses and companies will never pay you what you're actually worth. They will never give you offers of what it's worth. Go watch the movie The Burial. They with Jamie Foxx and Jamie Lee, whatever, and but they showed that, like, if that's what a settlement is. And a settlement in court, when someone says, "Oh, we're willing to settle for this amount," they're doing that because they know that you can get more out of them. But they're like, "Oh, we want to cut our losses and just go ahead and give you the least amount," you know. And poor people typically fall for it, but people that are business minded know better. That's why you need attorneys. That's why you need attorneys, because attorneys know how the real world works. They get the schemes and the scams and stuff, right? But I even worked for an employer. He would want us to constantly do overtime, but he didn't want to pay us for overtime. I'm like, that's illegal, bro. You literally can't do that. Like, employers bet on your ignorance. They bet on your ignorance. They make you pay taxes that you don't owe, and then you wonder, man, I would work at different jobs and people would make the exact same amount yet get taxed differently. It's like, how is your check different than my check? We work the exact same amount of hours and we make the exact same amount. This doesn't even make sense. There was no special this or special that. It was literally like they just be manipulating the numbers and stuff. It's like, this is weird. Okay, that's strange. And speaking of, employers, stealing from you, I mean, they steal your most valuable asset, which is time, right? I mean, almost none of these employers pay you for the time, your communal, right? The time it takes you to get to work, the time it takes you to come from work, right? And they get offended when you don't give them your time, right? In exchange for pennies, essentially. I think I saw a bill recently passed where employees can now deny employers access to them outside of work, and these employers they're like offended by this. They're like, how dare you not give me your time without pay outside of work? Like, how dare you? Like, that's like the equivalent of me asking for the time of a waitress when I'm not even at the restaurant and she's not even working. But yeah, and don't even get me started on if your employers catch you like studying or talking about anything business wise, um, that about making money and stuff. They don't like that. And there's so many more ways to make money. Like, there's so many more ways to make so much more money than working a 9 to 5 job. And these employers don't like that people know that, which is kind of weird because it's like everyone kind of knows that, but they really don't like when you really focus in and hone in on that, because you're like, oh no, oh, that's one less employee we're gonna have, right? Like, they really don't like it. Even if you work at a place where you're easily replaceable, they still don't like it. They think they deserve your time. They think they deserve your attention. Just like these corporations that have all these advertisements, they want your attention. They think they deserve your attention. It's insane. And then don't even get me started on the responsibility without authority, right? So like the the nail or whatever they call it that broke the camel's back for me um, was being put in a position where I held all the responsibilities and liabilities if anything went wrong, even if it had nothing to do with me, even if I wasn't there. I held all the responsibility, but I had no authority, meaning I couldn't call the shots when it came to people that were under me. I couldn't tell them what to do. They said, I don't have to answer to you. Who are you? And then I tell the owner, the manager, and he's like, oh, well, I can't do anything about that, or they just don't do anything about it at all. It's like, so what's the point? But as soon as they do something that messes up everything, I get yelled at, right? It's like, nah, that's not a way to live. That's not a way to live. Nah, forget that. Yeah, but at the end of the day, the number one reason I can't work a 9 to 5 job anymore is really because I'm here to help you guys. That's really why I'm here, is to help you guys make money, to beat inflation, to support your families, to put, you know, money in your pocket, right? So you can keep money instead of losing money, right? Um, that, offer different services for that, right? How to pay off your mortgage earlier, how to get paid when you pay off your mortgage from your mortgage. Nobody talks about this. How to get 3 years back of taxes that you paid back to you. Just a lot of different stuff. How to get reimbursed from payments that you made on credit cards. How to get reimbursed from payments that you made on your mortgage. You know, all that good stuff. But yeah, even how to get reimbursed the payments that you made on your car note. You know what I'm saying? All that good stuff. If you like to know more, uh, read the description of this, video. Like, subscribe. Get the word out. But yeah, we're here to beat inflation. That's the goal.